I've arrived in Estonia for my first trip. I'm in the capital Tallinn, a city of 430,000 people in a country of about 1.3 million. I was hoping to visit and do some videoing around the Kalamaja district today, which is a kind of creative neighbourhood of art and old abandoned buildings, but the weather is terrible. It is raining, the skies are grey, it's cold, and so instead I'm going to head to the Seaplane Museum, which I think is mostly indoors. So I'm down on the harbour now, and as you've probably seen on the video already, there are loads of abandoned buildings in this area. It used to be a huge fishing town, but in recent years the fishing industry has been in decline here. I'm going to look into more about that tomorrow when I take a proper look around the Kalamaja district. But for now, as I said, I'm standing on a slipway here that goes down into the sea, and then over there is the Seaplane Museum. I think I want to go and have a closer look. The museum is split into two areas, the harbour outside and the hangar, which contains the main museum at two levels. Sea level, which is the top floor, which is what I'm heading up to, and then the ground floor, which contains the underwater section of the museum. This hangar was built in 1916 and 1917 as a sea fortress, and it was built with the purpose of defending St. Petersburg. So the idea was that this place would spot any enemy ships sailing towards the Russian city. It is a very unique building. It is made entirely of concrete, and is actually, if you look up there, it's actually one of the first buildings in the world to be built entirely of concrete and feature a domed structure. It also has no internal support pillars, so goodness knows how that concrete is staying up there. But it's pretty impressive and definitely something very unique to see. One positive here is that the descriptions of the exhibits in the museum are in English. So for access into the hangar and the seaplane port, the cost is 15 euros, which is quite expensive, but it is, I've got to say, set out very well, and there's lots to look at inside and outside of the building. This is a remote control system that controlled mines out at sea. It was used in the Winter War of 1939 and 1940, and it meant that mines laid out at sea could be detonated whenever they were required. This remote control system could also turn those mines back into ordinary mines so that they would explode on contact. Pretty advanced for its time. Well, I'm now on board the Lembit, which is an Estonian mine-laying submarine. It's sitting here right in the centre of the sea hangar, and I think it's one of the key ships in the museum here. Can't get over the look and feel of this concrete domes above me. Pretty stunning to look up and see. This of course is where they used to work on ships and boats back in Soviet times and before. So I'm now about to board the Lembit Submarine. I've got to get in it first though. Here I am. Wow, I've never been in a submarine before. Looks like someone's bed there. This must have been for the captain. I'm out of the hangar, the main museum, and I'm heading to the back of the building now, which is where the harbour is, to see if I can find the seaplanes. And just behind the main building itself is the Suur Tõll, which is an Estonian ice-breaking ship. So I'm going to have a quick look around and just see what kind of technology and living conditions were on the boat itself. This is the main deck, of course. I don't know much about boats, if I'm honest. Very little. So that's why I've come here, because I thought it'd be quite interesting to learn a few bits and to see some of these boats, ships, submarines and icebreakers. Now that's what you call a chain. Absolutely colossal. So I found out that this icebreaker was built in 1914 in Poland, and it served for a few different countries over the 100 or so years that it was in action, including Finland, the Soviet Union and the Republic of Estonia more recently. Let's just poke our head up here. There we go. Oh, we can go up even further. Dare I? Yeah, no worries. Just behind me there is the captain's gantry, I think is what it's called. It's where the ship would have been navigated from when I head back down to the bottom. The weather is still terrible, still raining, but I'm pretty hopeful because the weather forecast says that the rest of my trip here in Estonia, the weather's going to be a lot better. It's mostly sunny. So this is quite steep. Look at this. Right, camera down while I do this bit. Just now leaving the ship, heading back to land, and I'm just going to have a walk up this pier just to see if there's anything up here that might be of interest. As I may have said earlier, the Seaplane Museum and Harbour were in the Kalamaja district, where I'm going to be coming back tomorrow to do an entire video on that area, because I want to have a proper walk around it. There's lots of really cool and interesting things to see. So that's what I'm definitely going to do tomorrow. But meanwhile, I'm walking past on the way back to the old town, an old abandoned prison that I'm going to be visiting this again tomorrow. And this is a prison that was abandoned at the end of the Soviet period here, and up to a few years ago they were actually doing tours in it because people were quite interested in the building and the structure itself. So a slight change at the end of the video here. I'm going to finish off today by just showing you, there's my hotel, the yellowish building behind me, and I'm going to show you the room that I've got. It's about £42 a night with breakfast right in the centre of Tallinn Old Town, but it is one of the smallest rooms I've ever had. I knew it was going to be small because I saw the pictures when I booked it, so there's no surprises, but it is very, very small. Let's go and have a look. There we go. This is my room for the next few nights. I've got a bunk bed. The bottom bunk is currently being used as a makeshift packing bench. That's where I'm going to be staying. I've got a window sill to put all my belongings on and a lookout over the central courtyard. Just here I've got my wardrobe, bathroom in here. Looks like the shower is kind of integrated. It's a wet room, I suppose they call it these days, where there is no sort of difference between the shower and the rest of the bathroom. Look at this little sink, by the way. Check this out. Look at this sink. Wow, look at that. That is like the smallest sink, but like I said, I knew I was getting this because I booked it £41 a night including breakfast. I'd say that's a bargain for central Tallinn. Anyhow, now I am going to call it a night. I am going to get up nice and early in the morning, as I said before, and get out into the old town. Good night.